Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IT On Call podcast. I'm Ross to the rescue, Feldman, your host, along here with Harrison Barron. How are you doing, Harrison?
What's up, brother? How are you? I'm doing good on this. We got the weather cracked in North. You're a North Carolinian.
Yeah,
The weather has cracked. It is officially spring, as far as I'm concerned.
I love it. I love it. 65 degrees. That's the in Fahrenheit. It's none of that Celsius crap. Um, yeah, it's been really interesting. I've lived here for 31 years. This is home for me. I'm from Philadelphia, and I don't have any need to have blizzards or snow or any of that crazy winter stuff. So that little dusting that came down was good enough to have a little snow day, and then we're done with it. So
Yeah,
good enough.
I'm in the same boat. I chose to move here because it didn't have snow in it, and I will happily enjoy the no snow life.
Well, speaking of moving, where'd you move from?
Long Island, New York, where I
Long
got a
Island.
lot of my experience in many things, including the
Yeah,
MSP
yeah.
world. That was my first taste of that was on Long Island. I lived the I don't want to say the city life because Long Island is not the city life, but that's where I got my start, and now we're in North Carolina and right outside the city.
Excellent. And that's the thing is that with Charlotte, it's an ever-growing place. There's 119 people a day moving to Charlotte. There's a million people that live in the Metrolina area, and it's an ever-growing area, ever-growing city. There are new businesses all the time, and there's new MSPs coming up. I've kept track of MSPs over the last 20 years. I have a list of about 200 that have come and gone. I'm friends with maybe a dozen of them, and I try to keep us in loop with each other. And I put an idea together, and I said, "Hey, let's do a meetup." So we got about 5 of us together in a room of 18 total people, and I'm trying to do it again in March. But you had the idea to do Tech on Tap in February, so I was like, "Hey, let's do this together."
That's it. So yeah, the goal was just truth be told, I was just getting tired of sitting at home, and I knew that
Mhm.
you were doing stuff, and I said, we need more things. I need to get out of the house a little more, and it's actually funny. I joined my local chamber of commerce, as I tell most people on YouTube to join, and I joined with the expectation that I was getting nothing out of it because I work with a wildly specific target customer, right? They're not just going to hire me on a whim. They have to have a need to learn sales and marketing and that kind of thing, which is totally fine. It's very funny because I joined my local chamber. I'm like, oh, this will be good. I'll get out. I'll meet the local people. We'll do all these events, and they don't have that many events. And I was getting also stir crazy there, and I was like, something's got to give. We got to do something more. And I was like, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So that was also part of the hey, let's do something. And I want to just put something together monthly. I'm in a unique position where, thankfully and fortunately, we reach tens of thousands of people every single month. We have a tremendously long email list, and um, we're in a super fortunate place because of the work that we've done, and I would be silly not to take advantage of it. So if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, I will happily plug my event. But Tech on Tap, it's available at growth-generators.com under the events area. And we would love to have you. It's a no-cost event. I'm going to try to keep it no cost forever. But we're going to meet at least monthly. And it's only for MSP people. So, maybe a couple tech people float in, and then maybe, very few outsiders. I'm sure we'll probably find out about it and come on in. But for the most part, it's geared specifically for MSPs. And, if you want to come hang out with us, like I said, it's a free event. Ross will be there as
Yep.
well. And then Ross has got his event in March. And who knows, maybe we'll do an event every other month. I'll take 1 month. He'll take 1 month.
That works perfectly for me. I mean, it's one of those that I was going to do every quarter, and then it was just dragging on. It was taking too many weeks to get to the next event. So monthly seems about the right cadence for it. And it's funny because Upstate Tech Collab, run by Jonathan Schofield in Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina, with Channel Falcon, he's had 10 of his events, and I've come down for about 3 of them. And it's been a good showing, but it's a different crowd. It's more vendors than MSPs. And he's not targeting, he just happens to have that audience because he's on the vendor side. But he says he'll come up to our event. So we're going to definitely have some audiences driving from all over the place. But, we keep throwing back MSP between you and I. And to be honest, most of my audience on the podcast are business owners in Charlotte, and they may not know what MSP is. So go ahead, help them educate. What is an MSP?
Yeah, so an MSP is a managed service provider, and that's it. That's what they are. I'm just kidding. So a managed service provider is I tell people, and this is my best explanation because everybody seems to understand it. It is Geek Squad on steroids. Geek Squad is great for your home if you're into that kind of thing and you want your home theater set up, but there's really nobody out there to manage your business, whether that's HIPAA compliance, FINRA, FDIC, whatever it is. There's a million of these alphabet agencies and non-alphabet agencies. There's businesses out there that want to get on. I hate to use a gimmicky thing like the tech revolution, right? But they want technology to work in their favor and not against them. And that's really what a managed service provider is going to do. They're going to help keep your business secure. They're going to help make sure that it's safe in times of potential disasters, whether that's a malicious employee, that's God forbid the building burns down, you lose internet for a long period of time, whatever it is. There's a million things that can go wrong in business, and that's what a managed service provider does. So they help mitigate that risk that you're going to have to end up ultimately dealing with in your business. That is the long and fancy of it.
And I love that risk word, because there's something that's just not to the forefront minds of business owners about the risks that are inherent in their business, and how we're here as providers to mitigate risk, not just hold your hand, but also define and restrict the amount of risk that you have in your business. A lot of businesses, they're required to have business insurance. They're not required unless there's certain regulated industries to have cybersecurity insurance. And I wish that more businesses took that seriously, that have that cybersecurity rider. And most of the businesses I'm talking to haven't even had that discussion from the insurance side. The insurance person didn't bring it up. I'm the IT guy bringing it up, and I'm like, the insurance people should be bringing it up. So definitely, lowering risk is a key part of what MSPs do. I definitely have been in the MSP space for a little while now, but how did you originally get into the MSP space up in Long Island?
So, fun fact, I stumbled into it. I really thought I was going to. So I went to school for computer programming, and turns out not that great of a computer programmer. I'm just kidding. I actually got through college with fairly decent grades, but I learned that I'm not a programmer. True, through and through, I'm not a programmer. But I was looking for internships at the time, and at the time I was a fireman, as I still am, but I was really looking for an internship in programming to further my knowledge and learn learn as much as I could in programming. And it turns out one of the guys in my fire department at the time had a cousin who owned an MSP, and he goes, "Hey, I owns an MSP," and I'm like, "What's an MSP?" And that was my first ever learning of a definition of an MSP. And I said, "Yeah, I mean, look, if there's a chance I'm even going to program, I'd love the opportunity." And sure enough, there was a chance to become to program, but more importantly, it was just hey, I'm going to be around technology. I'm going to play with it. It's going to be on somebody else's dollar. And I started in the industry as an unpaid intern. I didn't get paid a nickel while I was there as an intern. And but I learned a lot. And then after my internship, they ended up offering me a job and said, "Hey, would you like to, join the team?" And obviously I said yes. And I was super excited about it. So I started my journey there. I started out as a intern, worked my way up to paid technician. And then I never really realized this until later on, but I was going out to job sites and then coming back with basically proposals. I would go out on a job site, and for those of you actually watching, I would have the the products that they bought and what they're actually getting with it all, and if I had to set anything up, or just making sure that I had a list of items that they were going to receive for their money. And I had started bringing them back to the office, and I was like, "Hey, by the way, I just did some quick math. They're looking out for another proposal for $2,500. They need 2 computers. They need this setup. They need a surge protector." And I had started remembering how much things costed. So I was able to just say, "Hey, put this together." I've already told them the price. They're going to approve it, right? And I got really, really good at that, probably from bartending and just learning how to talk to people and talk about numbers. and then they offered me the opportunity to go into sales, and I was the first sales person in the company officially, and I got really good at MSP sales, far better than I thought I would have ever been. But I just learned how to close and sell, and I had an insane quota. My quota was $25,000 a month, with the majority of that being monthly recurring revenue. So that was the process. I learned and built and helped build the business and price people out, and I farmed and hunted, and I mean, you name it. I was probably doing it to some degree or another in the sales world, and that is how I left, started my own business doing digital marketing because of some stuff I saw at another of a strategic partner of ours. I said, I'm gonna go start my own business, and I knew I couldn't do the tech side of it myself.
Right.
And then I made YouTube videos of I'm never going back in the MSP world. I'll just make YouTube videos. I'll give it all away, and that somehow turned into a business.
And that's the thing, is it's an accidental business, but still there was some purpose behind it.
Yeah, 100%.
YouTube, tell me about your followers, how the growth has been, how long ago you got started on your channel.
Yeah, so I'm actually curious to see what the follower count is as of today. I have not checked. I want to get one of those little clocks that say it, but we are currently sitting at 6,355 subscribers.
Excellent.
Which to some of you guys might not sound like a whole lot, but considering one of the largest competitors who teaches sales and marketing for MSPs only has about just shy of 10,000 at the time of recording this, and I've been able to do it in a third of the time, if not less than they have. And nothing against them; they're a great competitor to have, but it's been growing like a weed. Unbelievably fortunate for what we've been able to build and be able to teach quite literally hundreds of thousands of people in the MSP world what to do, how to do it, how to be successful in sales. And that's really been the journey. It's been the coolest thing ever. It was an accidental business, and as far as I'm concerned, every day I get to help somebody close a deal and either pay for their kids' college tuition or any sort of variation of that. That's a big win in my eyes.
Very cool. And that's the thing, is that there's a lot of growth in the MSP world and growing your business within it. When it comes to that, do you foresee a cap of how much business can be had, or do you feel like it's an unlimited market here in Charlotte?
I would actually argue say it's probably an unlimited market in Charlotte, at least for the foreseeable future. You just said, there's 100 and how many people moving? 188 people moving a day?
Yeah, 119. Yep.
119. So 119 people a day, call it 120 for even numbers here. It's a lot of people moving to the area, right? Which means that people are going to start businesses. They are going to ultimately want to provide for their family in one way or another. They're going to help other people. It's a massive, massively large and up and coming city. I've heard the statement that Charlotte is a large city that doesn't know it's a large city yet, and it's true. So kind of being able to get in on the ground floor, especially if you're an MSP in Charlotte, is a no-brainer. But I mean, I feel like if you're even a business in Charlotte, you really have to, and I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, but you really have to not be good at business to lose. I feel like there's a wildly large opportunity here, and just like Austin, Texas was probably about 10, 15 years ago before the tech booms, right? You're kind of getting in on the early side of this. And while we are known for banking, there's so much opportunity here. There's so much room for growth. And I hope that people capitalize on it, because it's an incredible place, and we need more. We just need more stuff. We need more everything. I still drive around now and I'm like, how do we not have this yet? How has nobody decided to bring this type of business here? And I'm not just talking about restaurants. It could be manufacturing. It could be, building. It could be value-added reseller services. But there's so much opportunity. Even today, I'm looking for a business bank in Charlotte. There's no real business banks in Charlotte. And to be fair, my preliminary search has been very small. But like the fact that there isn't one off the rip is crazy to me. So there's tons of opportunity here for anybody building a business.
Absolutely. And I think that, like, I originally started banking with First Citizens, which is based out of Raleigh. And there's been banks like Chase moving in, and Wells Fargo has an office here, but their headquarters is in San Francisco. But we're still, there's banks that are, you know, business banks that they're regular people banks that have business banking that they also do. So
Yep.
it's an interesting landscape, and I think that there'll be more competition coming into banking because we're a banking city. There's a lot of fintech that's going on with there too. But I'm thinking with the businesses that are established versus the businesses that are starting, MSPs don't always target startups. We normally like to have businesses with 10 employees. That's a good number that says you're wanting MSP services. When you are marketing, how are you scaling? How are you organizing your MSP clients that you're speaking to right now?
So, are you asking how do I educate them in marketing their businesses,
Right,
or
based on size of the MSP, right? Because they're working with different niches and different size clients.
so if you're an MSP listening, more than likely I'm going to tell you the answer that I tell everybody else. The opportunity in your area is probably nearly limitless. Um, there is so much room for growth. And truth be told, in this, if you're an established MSP and you're listening, I'm going to break some bad news for you. But the amount of work that you have to do to be successful in sales and marketing your MSP is quite literally a toothpick off the ground.
Mhm.
And that's not even standing upright. That is laying down flat on the ground. I mean, you probably wouldn't even trip over it. It is such a minute amount of work that you actually have to do to be more visible than probably 80 to 90% of the competition.
Right.
Because even with my competitor being around for 20 years or so, and some other people in the industry, either the knowledge wasn't good or something had happened. But I feel like MSPs are allergic to doing good sales and good marketing. They're, I don't know why. I haven't quite figured that one out yet, truth be told. But they do. They all really stink at sales and marketing. So especially if you're an MSP listening, there's so much room for growth for you. It is absolutely insane, but you do have to do a bit of the work, right?
Mhm.
Nobody's going to just hand it to you on a silver platter, all as nice as that would be. But there is to get ahead, setting up a Google My Business, using a Google My Business page is going to win you more leads than anything else at this very moment, right? As the lowest hanging fruit possible. But you could get into there's so many other areas that you can spend time and energy and effort and even a little bit of money on. Investing a little bit in SEO, investing a little bit of money and time and energy into local pages. So pages built specifically on your website for if you're in the Charlotte area, Mecklenburg, Monroe, Huntersville, Mooresville, Gastonia, right? There's depending on how far or how, what territory you want to cover. I mean, the fact that there's businesses, there's MSPs out there that are not even creating what I would consider the bare minimum marketing effort is wild to me. And just by investing a little bit of time and energy and effort, the results that you can get out of that are going to be insane. I mean, it'll just pay for itself
Tremendously.
10x fairly
Yeah.
fairly quickly. Like I had somebody I just talked to, one of my members, right, in my membership. They were like, "Oh, you know what? I took your advice. I built out my Google My Business account. I've already gotten 3 leads from it." I'm talking like a week. I mean,
Yeah.
what business wouldn't want 3 great leads? Now, granted, 2 of them were garbage, but still, one good lead in the MSP world is worth a lot of money. I mean, these
Exactly.
services are not cheap, but they're very well worth it to businesses. So I tell everybody, I'm like, if you're thinking about, if you're thinking about owning an MSP and you have experience in the space, there's no better time to do it. And security, the healthcare, I shouldn't say the healthcare, but the alphabet agencies, as I call them, HIPAA, FINRA, all of them, they're all coming out with new policies. The HHS HHS, Human Health Services, just came out with more regulations that they're going to be requiring for medical professionals countrywide. So if you're a doctor listening, you have a friend that's a doctor listening, and they don't have a managed service provider, a doctor isn't going to go and sit and read the pages and try to interpret the right information and hope they get it correct, and then risk tens of thousands of dollars in fines on top of endless headaches for a HIPAA violation. They're going to have an MSP do it, right? Because that's what they do. So there's no better time, and where we are in Charlotte is I mean, it's just limitless possibilities still.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of growth happening in this area, and there's a lot of growth that needs to be managed by a provider, a professional that you bring in. We're in the age of AI. AI has now come up in almost every single one of my podcasts episodes, and each business is leveraging it differently. I'm using AI to process the recording afterwards, as well as doing the social media posts and the descriptions. So how have you been using AI in your business?
I mean, I've used it for everything from helping me, script out or get ideas for YouTube videos. We publish on average about 200 plus videos per year. So one usually per day, Monday through Friday, give or take. But yeah, honestly, I don't see how businesses are using it. And I know that you have a broader audience, broader reach on here as far as non-MSPs go. But, if you're not using AI for email marketing, if you're not using it to help you write blog posts, and there's, asterisks floating around in there because you got to be careful what you use it for. But there's so much opportunity to get ahead of your competitors, because it still blows my mind how few people are using AI with just basic capabilities. And I think we're in I've read it online. I do believe it. We're in the infancy of like what AI could be, right? We thought we had ChatGPT figured out, and DeepSeek comes around. Now, I have no experience with DeepSeek yet. It's on my list of things to play around with today, or this week. But the fact that that's a statement that I can say now is there's businesses not using AI. This is more of a reason to, I kind of want to say get on the bandwagon, but it's not like the NFTs or anything like that, or crypto, where you have to like learn all this science. It's not. It's just giving you information faster than Google, and that's, in my opinion, if you can cut down on the amount of time it takes to crunch data. I mean, I'm using it to analyze competitors' YouTube channels. I'm using it to analyze where people are clicking on a website and what I think they're going to click on, and going through and fixing sales copy. I mean, I could name 1,000 things that we're using it for. And just because it's there doesn't mean it's it's not the gospel. You don't have to follow it to a T. It's just a great way to say, hey, you know what? This is a good sounding board. I don't, I'm a little skeptical on this area. That's a fine way to use it as well. I use it as a sounding board all the time. Is this idea a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What are the repercussions that this could have if I said something like this? Is it worth it? Are there liable? There's truly like a nearly endless amounts. And if you're not sure like how to use it, pick it up and play with it, because you'd be. I'm finding correlations between different things that I never would have thought I would find correlations to, between subscribers on videos, to which videos are going to perform the best, where there's vulnerabilities for me to create content on. I mean, it's just an incredible tool that every business should be using.
And I think ChatGPT is really great at having conversation and having a memory and remembering. Like, it remembers my IT On Call podcast. It remembers the guests that I've had on there, what we were talking about. It takes all that content and keeps regurgitating it into the next new content. And it asks me questions, and we actually chat and have a conversation and grow from there. So it's that conversational capability that really is something you need to engage in and be able to really work with. When it comes
100%.
to, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say 100%. Like, it's just using it and leveraging it and making it work for you instead of against you. And it's not as hard as most people think it is if you're just experimenting with it.
So AI is one tool. What's another technology tool that you've used in your business recently?
I feel like I don't use anything cool because I live in it every day.
Mm-hmm.
But it still blows my mind how many businesses don't use a CRM for
Yep.
basically marketing. If you're not using a CRM to get in front, CRM for those of you that don't know is a customer relationship management tool. I like to tell people it's the way that you can start to build leads and get leads and put all that information in one place is kind of the best way to explain it. But I use CRM every day. It's an absolute mandatory for us. We use, I mean, everything from TubeBuddy for YouTube, industry specific tools. I'm not an MSP, but if you're an MSP, you use an RMM tool and a PSA tool, a remote managing and monitoring tool, and a professional services automation tool. Those are important. But I mean, for us, I feel like I don't use that much stuff, but I play around with a lot of stuff, and I wouldn't consider them operationally important. I mean, we use Hotjar for thermal tracking on our website to see who's visiting where and for how long.
That's
Or
cool.
we use a version of another company, but that's the main one everybody knows. We use obviously ChatGPT for a lot of things. We're using Go High Level. For those of you that follow me on YouTube, I'm a big fan of Go High Level. It's the CRM. It allows us to do email marketing, funnel building, all that good stuff, all in one place. I use Canva way more than I ever thought I would. Even if you're not a designer, Canva is a fantastic tool. It's free for most people to make images and design things. But especially with AI, you have to think about where AI is not doing a good job, and currently it's not doing a great job with images. So those are going to be the areas that your skills are going to be worth more on. Building lead magnets, all that kind of stuff are really important, but making it look good or at least knowing what to look for. Those, in my opinion, are probably the most important tools that we use. It's crazy. I never would have thought I would ever say Canva, by the way.
And the thing is, so I've got the podcast, and I needed cover photos for the LinkedIn Live and the Facebook event, and there was a template that I, based my design off of, and I could have gone premium and used one of those templates, but at least like with AI, it suggested something, because when it comes to something in the something new and novel is hard for me. When it comes to a blank canvas, I get writer's block. And so by giving me something to start with, I have something additional that I didn't have before. So Canva has been great to be able to and I can quickly produce the covers now, the RSVPs, the episode, the episode thumbnail art has to be 1400 by 1400 exactly, and it has to be a JPEG exactly. And if it's not, it doesn't upload to Apple Podcasts. So I'm able to manipulate those graphics as well. So it's amazing that something as simple as Canva can also be something as complicated to be able to help with what you're trying to do.
100%. I think that a tool, it's a tool, right? At the end of the day, a hammer is a hammer, but you could do a hell of a lot of things with a hammer, and the same thing with a lot of these tools, right? What you put into them is what you get out of them, and if you're willing to put the time, the energy, and the effort to learn, I mean, the sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing, is that I love YouTube as a resource, that anything you're looking to do, like, I'm a visual learner. I know there's documentation written up all over the place, but I mean, I used ChatGPT to get my PowerShell put together today that I needed commands for. And of course, I reviewed it and then ran it. And, always trust something as far as you can throw it. And you can't really throw ChatGPT. So, don't trust it that much, but at least review it. And it gets you what you need to know.
Sure. I agree 100%. I mean, it's just figuring out what tools are going to work for you, why they're going to work for you, and what you want to get out of. I think actually that's probably the more important question, is what do you want to get out of the tool? And if you can figure out what you want to get out of a tool, that's where I feel like this is so cliche, but like rubber meets the road, right? If you could figure out what you need out, and I guess that's most of businesses. If you could figure out what you need to get out of the business, then you can figure out how to get there, right? We were just talking about goal setting in my membership. And it's important because if you don't set a goal without a timeline is a dream or something of that nature is what one of the guys was saying. And it's true. I mean, if you don't put a plan in action, right? We always said in Boy Scouts, if you fail to plan to fail. And there's also a lot of truth in that statement where you have to make sure that you're using the tools the right way, and you put together a plan. And 1% better every day is still better than no percent better any day.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that you can get 1% better every day, then 100 days later you got 100% better. So there's all these little mantras and tips and tricks that are really good and helpful out there. All right, Harrison, if people wanted to reach out to you, what's a great way for them to be able to contact you?
Yeah, easiest way to find me is growth-generators.com. If you're a listener to the show, just put that in the notes so that way I don't assume that you're an MSP. But if you're an MSP and you're looking for sales and marketing guidance, we only provide it for MSPs and among tons of other resources. Growth-generators.com. Hang out with us in the membership, MSP Heroes. And if you're just, hey, I want to pick your brain or anything like that, I'm happy to answer questions. Just hit me up there and just say how you found me, because somebody comes through and they find me on a random podcast or whatever it is, and I'm like, oh, you're not who I thought you were. I apologize. We can have a different conversation then.
If technology is your headache, then Better Call IT is your Advil. My name is Ross Feldman. It's been a pleasure to have you on the call today, and I am looking forward to the future and our Tech on Tap and the MSP meetup that we're going to have next month and the month after and this month. So it's been a pleasure. It was great to meet you, and thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, pleasure, man. Thank you so much.